Shalom, dear friends of His Israel. I hope some of you have been able to join us and look forward to taking another look, a closer look at one of the holidays that are not very well known. It's not a very well known holiday. Shalom, Barbara. I'm glad you can be here. Now, the holiday of Tu B'Shvat is not actually listed amongst the biblical feast days, but there is scripture reference to it. Shalom, shalom. There is a scriptural reference to Tu B'Shvat in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Before I read it, I just want to say hello to Kathy. Kathy Landis, I'm so happy that you can be here with His Israel today. And shalom, Annette Wilder from Texas. I'm happy you can be here. I hope you can hear and see everything fine. Give me a thumbs up if everything is coming across nice and clear. Shalom, Annette. Oh, good. Okay. So everything's going well. Thank you, ladies. All right. We were just saying that Tu B'Shvat is not a very well-known holiday, not even amongst the Jewish community. Shalom, Anne Gibbon. I'm glad you could join us. Hi. That's wonderful. We just have, I'm just giving a couple of minutes to let other people, give them a chance to sign in and join us. It's good to see you too, Kathy. So I know some people are just beginning to join in, and we'll give them one more minute and then we'll start having this really good look at Tu B'Shvat. It's been a very neglected holiday, even amongst the Jewish communities around the world. And we'll see why. There are reasons. But I was just saying before that it's not listed among the biblical feast days. You won't see it in Leviticus. But you do find a reference in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22, where it says, "You shall tithe all the yield of your seed, which comes from the field year by year." So there's a very clear command from the Lord that all the seed and the fruit that come from the crops of the field and the trees needs to be tithed year by year. But it doesn't say when. So the rabbis and the sages, by looking at scripture, decided, all right, the middle of Shvat, the Hebrew month of Shvat, where we are approaching now, that is the time when, after the trees and the plants have all lain dormant during the long winter, this is when the sap begins to rise again and brings new life to the tree. And you see all the little green leaves sprouting and the buds and the blossoms. So they said, we'll make this the new year for trees, so that we'll know that any fruit or crops that were harvested before this date will be tithed according to that year, and any fruit or crops that come later after Tu B'Shvat, they will be tithed with the year ahead of it. So it was a very practical reason why Tu B'Shvat was chosen as the new year for trees, and it really does make sense in many ways. Now, I don't know if you know what the name Tu B'Shvat actually means. Now, Shvat, of course, is the Hebrew month, and TU2 is 15. in Hebrew. So that's the 15th month. Boker Tov, Alana. I've just seen Alana join us, and I know it's morning where you are, even though it's evening here, but welcome, and Boker Tov to you. So we're talking about Tu B'Shvat, and the meaning of the name is that Tu is 15, Ba, as you know, is in, like Ba Reshit, in the beginning. So the 15th in the month of Shvat. And Shvat is the Hebrew month. So it's the 15th of the month, is Tu B'Shvat. Hi, Caitlin. Shalom. It's good to see you. I'm glad you could join us. Wow. Next time it'll be live in Jerusalem. Okay, now, so Tu B'Shvat. It's called the New Year for trees. It's the time of the, from the 15th, the middle of the month, where there's a beautiful full moon. That is the date that the fruit from the year before is tithed, and any fruit that grows after that will be tithed the following year. And then this fruit is brought up to the temple as the first fruits offering at Pentecost at Shavuot. So that's how the date was established as the New Year for trees. And we also can rejoice because it's a herald of spring. The 15th of the month of Shvat, Tu B'Shvat, is when you see all the new leaves, the new blossoms, the promise of the harvest to come. So it's a very joyful time. Most of the rain, the winter rain in Israel has fallen by now, and the sap, as we said, is beginning to rise in the trees, and we know that very soon we will be able to respond to that beautiful verse in the Song of Songs that the beloved proclaims. And I'd just like to read it now. Hi, Shay Lane. So good to see you, Shay Peterson. All the way from Ohio, and together with Caitlin. Shalom, shalom. Right, so I'm going to read this beautiful verse from the Song of Songs, and we'll be able to say that soon as we see the spring approaching. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away, for lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree puts forth its figs, and the vines are in blossom, they give forth fragrance. Now, such a beautiful verse, of course, but there is a word there that's significant as well, and that is the time of singing has come. And at Tu B'Shvat, the Shabbat that's celebrated during Tu B'Shvat is called in Hebrew Shabbat Shirah, the Sabbath of song. Now why? Because the Torah portion that's read on that Shabbat is Beshalach, and in that Torah portion we find the song at the sea, Shirat Hayam. And that's in Exodus 15, verses 1 to 8. Now, some of you might know this song. This goes back, but the verse in that portion is, I will sing unto the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. And there was a song, I will sing unto the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, the horse and rider thrown into the sea. Some of you might remember that one. But that, of course, is celebrating the Exodus from Egypt. And we're always told to remember that Exodus. So it's a good chance to sing the song even at and read that portion on Tu B'Shvat. Now, it's still winter here, so we were still waiting for the spring. And this often is a very, very cold time, and it's a very cold Shabbat on Tu B'Shvat. And so there's a custom which is rather lovely, which is to put out extra breadcrumbs or bird seed to help feed the birds. Now we know that the eye of God is always on the sparrow, and he sees even the little birds and provides for them. But we can just help be his open hand and give a little extra breadcrumbs or seed for the birds on Shabbat Shirah. And why? Because the birds are always singing. They are a reminder to sing praises. It's as if the birds are constantly singing praises to their Creator. And so we especially remember the birds on Shabbat Shirah. I really want to encourage you to go to the website on His Israel and listen to a beautiful nigun. Now, a nigun means a song without words. A nigun is just a song you can hum along or whistle or just la la la. It doesn't have to have words, and it's called the Nigun of the Birds, and it's sung by Shlomo Katz. It just is a beautiful song, and it gives a lovely description. Hello, June. June Clapp has found us. Well done, June. Welcome. We're just talking about the Shabbat that will be on Tu B'Shvat, which will be not this Shabbat, but the next one, is called Shabbat Shirah, the song of the Sabbath of song. And it's especially focusing on the birds because they're always singing praises, and they remind us to sing praises to our God, our wonderful Creator, who creates all these beautiful things that we're celebrating on Tu B'Shvat. We're celebrating the trees, we're celebrating the fruit. Now, I did say that Tu B'Shvat was a very neglected and forgotten holiday. Why? Because after the destruction of the temple, there was no more temple to bring the first fruits offering to, and the people of Israel were exiled from the land. I mean, there was always a small remnant here, of course, but the majority of Jewish people were exiled, scattered amongst the nations. And it was only very small Orthodox communities, I know some in Eastern Europe, they would keep Tu B'Shvat as a reminder and a link to the land. They would try and find the fruits, the 7 species, and would have a little Seder, and especially remember the land, because the trees and the fruit are the crops of the land. And they would do this with a yearning and a longing to be restored to the land. Now here we are in the land again, and even more reason for us to celebrate the fact that what was a desolate land, because with the Jewish people not here, as we all know, under the Turkish occupation, the Ottoman era, all the trees of the land were cut down and used, and there were no birds singing, there were no fruit on the trees, and it became a desolate land. But now here we are celebrating the miracle of restoration. We're seeing the desert bloom again, the trees are budding, and now Israel is even exporting fruit and flowers to the nations. So that's even more reason, I think, to celebrate Tu B'Shvat and sing praise and give thanks to God for the wonders that He's done. Now, I did mention that, well, maybe first I'll just have a quick look again at the 3 central themes of Tu B'Shvat. And they very much echo and are linked in with the major themes of all the festivals of the Lord, the biblical feasts. They are, like we said, give thanks and praise to God for His creation of the trees, and with a special focus on those grown in Israel, keeping that link with the land. Also, remembering our beginning, our at creation in the Garden of Eden, with the tree of life in the center. And there again, the tree is the focus. and of course the relationship that we enjoyed there in the garden with God. And then thirdly, it gives us a greater awareness of what our task is. It's a reminder of why we are here, what God wants for us to be doing now, in participating and caring for our environment and for both physically and spiritually. Are we working with Him to try and restore the garden of His presence here amongst us, wherever He has placed us, and also particularly to pray for the restoration and redemption that He's doing in Israel. And it's all connected with the land. Now, let me just see the way to celebrate. Now, I want to encourage you again. You can have a look on the website to see how a Tu B'Shvat Seder, how that is done. Now, you can do it as simply and as lavishly as you like, but it's just a very special thing. Every time I've done it, and with friends, and friends have then done it, it's been a great, great blessing. Shalom, Lucy. So happy that you could make it. We're about halfway through, but better late than never. Yay. So we're just talking now about the actual Tu B'Shvat Seder, and I will be celebrating the Seder actually next week in Samaria with my dear friend Debbie, and we're going to be recording a Tu B'Shvat Seder, which we will make available later. But in the meantime, if you can go to the website and just look under the festival section and find Tu B'Shvat and find the Seder. And I encourage you, even if it's simple or by yourself, but just do this in remembrance of God's wonderful miracles of restoration here in the land. And just pray at the same time and praise Him for what He's doing. I mean, we know that the importance of the land and how the enemy is just doing the forces of evil, let's say, are doing the utmost to prevent what God is trying to do here in Israel. So prayer, staying with God's calendar, celebrating the festivals, all help strengthen what He is doing here in the land. And you can be a part of that wherever you are. Now, as I said, it can be as simple or as lavish as you like, just one or two or friends. But these are the ingredients that you need. It's a collection of fruit and nuts, fresh or dried, and particularly if you can find of the 7 species. Now, you find the 7 species in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 7 to 10, and those include the wheat and the barley. Now, that's hard, but you can just have bread, or challah, if you have challah and bread, to symbolize even cakes or cookies or cereal, symbolizing the wheat and the barley. And then you have figs and dates and olives and grapes and pomegranates. So any of those that you can find would be wonderful, whether they're dry or fresh. And nuts, if you can get nuts, have some with the shells, like pistachios are the easiest. And pistachios are among the nuts that grow in Israel. Actually, the almonds, as you probably know, the beautiful almonds are the first trees to blossom in the spring. They're the first real herald of spring, and still sometimes snow around them. But then the pistachios also are amongst the first to blossom and grow. So pistachios with the shells are good to have, as well as almonds. And then try and have some fruit with peels, like the pomegranates, if you can. Bananas, oranges, avocados, some fruit with peels and some without, that you can eat whole, like grapes. Have some grapes if possible. Blueberries, strawberries. And then some fruit with the pits inside, like peaches, apricots, and the best one that's from the 7 species is dates. So so those are the mixture of the fruits and nuts. If you can just get a little collection of those, and then have wine or grape juice if you don't drink wine, and preferably white and red. If you can't find white grape juice, you can use water, but try and get some red grape juice at least, or else the wines. Now, I'm just giving you the list of ingredients, and then you will see how this all works together in the Seder. Okay? So, give it a little try this year, and look out for the one that we will be recording and have available for you as well. Now, the last thing I want to mention is it's become very popular in Israel, and especially with the children, to go out. The school children all go out with their classes and they plant trees. So it's become a kind of American Arbor Day, although that's not the main reason for it. But the children love going out and planting trees, feeling they're getting their hands in the soil and planting their tree in Israel. Now, how you can do that, if you're not in Israel, is go to the JNF site, the Jewish National Fund. I think it's jnf.org or .com. Just try both. Sorry, I should have had that available for you. But it is JNF, stands for Jewish National Fund. Now, they have from the very beginning, even before Israel was declared officially a state, they were already beginning to plant trees. They've planted millions of trees in Israel. And as some of you might know, there was the very sad and very horrifying, actually, outbreak of fires, many of which were arson here in Israel a couple of months back, and many, many trees were lost. So this is a really good time if you're able to just plant a tree or a couple of trees in Israel through the JNF, Jewish National Fund. Also, actually, I posted on the His Israel page and on mine, there's a friend, Jeremy Gimpel. His son, Lavi, is having his bar mitzvah soon. And rather than get gifts for himself, he started a little fund whereby people can just make a donation and trees will be planted. Oh, I think, I don't know if that's Cindy. Cindy, are you there? She's just posted up the JNF website, and it is www.jnf.org, O-R-G. So there you can find it. Or you can help Lavi Gimpel with his little bar mitzvah project, where he doesn't want gifts for himself. He just wants to be able to plant trees in Israel. So there we go. It's just a very, very special and wonderful time in remembering the land and the connection of the land and the people to the land. You know, I was just reading a very interesting book. It's by Martin Buber. Let me just find it. Hold on. I have a really old copy. I don't know if you can still find it, but it's called On Zion. Martin Buber, On Zion. And he made such an interesting point. He said that God called Abraham when he was outside of the land in Mesopotamia. He called Abraham, and Abraham heard him and followed him in obedience. But it was only when he was in the land that God revealed himself to him, that he saw God, as it were, face to face. And he said, now this is the land I've brought you to. And this is where we can start building our relationship again. He started raising Abraham's family up, which would become a people and then a nation, and then reach out to all the nations of the world. So it was very interesting. God was making such a beautiful point, I believe, that he was saying it's when you're in the land, when the people are restored in the land, then we can see him again face to face, as it were, and have the relationship that was back in the Garden of Eden. I mean, that was where God was walking and talking with Adam and Eve. And here he brought Abraham back and said, this is the land I've chosen, where my name will be placed forever. And this is where the plan of redemption will take place, that people can be brought back in relationship with me again. And of course, then he gave his, established his people in the land after the Exodus from Egypt. And then in Messiah, the price was paid that all, whosoever will from the nations, could come into relationship once again with God. So please, I'm just seeing Raina, my dear friend Raina is joining, and Cindy's joining, and now it's the end. We're just going to finish off with a blessing. We're just saying how God is restoring. He's busy restoring the land. He's restoring the people to the land. He's working out his plan of redemption so that all may come into relationship again, just as the Garden of Eden. We're establishing the garden again, and that's what Tu B'Shvat reminds us of, with the beautiful trees, the flowers, the song of the birds, and reminding us to also raise our song of praise to God continually and constantly. And remember to please go to the website and find Shlomo Katz's Nigun of the birds, and you'll be blessed. So I'd like to end with a blessing from the beautiful Psalm 128. It's one of the Psalms of Ascent, and many people read the Psalms of Ascent. There are 15 during the 15 days from the 1st to the 15th of Shvat. And so that would really be a blessing for you too, to just read through the Psalms of Ascent. We have them on the website as well. I've done some commentary on them. So if you'd like to do that, you can also find the Psalms of Ascent on the His Israel website. So now may I just say this blessing for each of you, wherever you may be, and for all Israel as well. Blessed, Ashereh, is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you. May the Lord bless you, each of you, from Zion. May you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. May you see your children's children. Shalom al Israel. Peace be upon Israel, today and forever. Amen. Thank you for being here. Much love to you. And if you just came in late, we will be posting the replay on the His Israel page, so please look out for that soon. Much love to you all. Amen. Shalom, shalom.